Good morning, guys. Welcome to day 62 until I'm a YouTube millionaire. I'm feeling pretty chummy today. Ugh. Mom gave me a head cold, and my body was fighting it off pretty well before, but it looks like it's doing its peak or whatever. I think I'm okay. It's not fun. Ugh. Makes me feel like poop. But I wanted to get online today before I go to my medical appointment to meet my new primary care doctor and talk a little bit about not distracting from the main lesson. So there are certain things that I'm sure could not have been said or could not have been written reasonably within a reasonable frame within the Bible that are nevertheless or nonetheless true. That is to say, the Bible is basic instructions for before leaving Earth, but it's not comprehensive. It gives you what you need. It gives you the lessons that you need. But it simply cannot be comprehensive, because to be comprehensive would say everything under the sun, and would make the book a billion pages long. It would make it longer than the number of words in the human genome, which is like 500 million words or something. So, as an example of what I'm saying here, and this is hypotheticals, okay? Hypotheticals. It was not said in the Bible, and I'm not saying that this is true. Nevertheless, it gives you an idea of what I mean when I say not distracting from the main lesson, things that could not be said. So, Jesus tells you that his Father sent him to earth, right? Who's to say that his greatest warrior, his guardian, Jesus' guardian, Jesus being God, his general, it's his guardian angel, really, the one that you and I know as Michael, is actually his father, and also his servant. I mean, earlier on in the Old Testament, when the angel of God is wrestling with Jacob, because Jacob wants him to bless him, that's assumed to be Michael. And the angel of God means the messenger of God. Angel means messenger, right? That's something that could not be said if it's true. It could not be said in the Bible, because it would distract from the main lesson, which is to know that Jesus is the Son of God, that he died for your sins and was resurrected 3 days later as propitiation for your sins, and that he told us our greatest commandment is to love one another. And that is what we needed to learn. More than anything else, the meaning of life is love. So the first one is, as an example, maybe Michael's actually his dad, and also his servant. The Father serves the Son anyway. This is the way it goes in our lives, just as it does anywhere else. In addition to that, there's a moment in the New Testament where Jesus talks about how if you even think of sexual sin, then you have sinned. So if you even think about it, then you have missed the mark. Now, this is true with any sin, but he was speaking specifically about sexual sin and infidelity, adultery, stuff like that. That he was not saying you were condemned to hell for it, He was saying that you were missing the mark, because the purpose of marriage is to provide a safe environment for the rearing of children. So with that being said, if we look back at the relationship between David and Jonathan in the Old Testament, perhaps one of the unwritten aspects of this, and I personally, you got to keep in mind also that the King James Version of the Bible was blessed, if you will, by a bisexual, the guy who had it commissioned and written. King James apparently was. And so that could be seeping into the interpretations here. It could be seeping into how the book was written. Nevertheless, the relationship between Jonathan and David is one that is spoken of as them being cleaved to the same flesh, which is intercourse, right? And an unspoken thing, that could have been why Saul was so angry with David, and why Jonathan ended up dying too, because it was something that was unacceptable back then. And it could not be written in the Bible that that's what actually happened, because it would confound the main lesson, which is that David is one of God's anointed. And what he did, that was kind of neither here nor there in that regard. Tying into this, like I had said in a previous video, now this one is obvious. 75%, I don't know the actual number, but it's like, let's just say 75% of all the kings in the Old Testament had multiple wives. So sexual deviancy, sexual sin, missing the mark in that regard was very commonplace, but it was not condoned, and it mustn't ever be condoned. And this is why, if it were written in the Bible, it could be confused as being condoned. Excuse me. Now, these were kings in the Bible that had multiple wives. Of course, it doesn't go the other way around. A woman can't have multiple men and have it be healthy. Lock and key. It doesn't work the same way. So, another thing, and there's actually precedent to discuss this with the obvious part of the Old Testament, that there are multiple wives for most of the kings of the Old Testament. And this also makes me think of Jesus' relationship with Simon Peter. Simon Peter was the one who Jesus loved, right? Now, this does not mean that there was some type of illicit relationship there. And that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, one of the greatest things that Jesus loves that we do is to deny ourselves for the greater good. I surmise that Simon Peter loved Jesus so much and believed in him so much that it actually seeped into becoming a physical attraction. Personal assumption. All right? And because Simon Peter would not actually capitalize on that desire, because he believed in Jesus and wanted what he was saying and what he was doing to succeed, Jesus loved him all the more for it. Because he was denying himself for a greater purpose. That's my guess. That's my guess. Again, we can't distract from the main lesson here. Probably why it wasn't stated in the Bible if it was true. I don't know. But these are the reading between the lines that you might be able to allow yourself to do as you mature as a Christian. it's not just, it doesn't just remain as simple, oh, you know, Noah's Ark and Jonah was swallowed by the whale and all that stuff, you know, or the trials and travails of Job being duking it out between Satan and God. There's more stuff to it. And I'm just a guy. I'm just a regular guy. I don't know if what I'm saying is total nonsense. Or not. Could be. Probably is. Because I'm just a doofus. But it's something to think about, guys. Something to think about. And there's more. I could go on and on. But I'll leave it there. Alright, guys, that's all I got for today. Preparing for my medical appointment in just a few minutes. Love y'all. Peace.